Hello, guys, and welcome to episode 2 of Alternate Future of What If Civilization Started Over. In the last episode, we pretty much saw the continuation of World War IV. I kind of thought it would go, not entirely, but from here, we're just going to continue out. We'll have one more episode after this of World War IV, and then we will have the peace treaty. And then everything's just gonna go very different from there. So let's get started. We're going to start off in Europe, where we see firstly we see West Africa continues to push in to the purple team, now making a landing down in Sicily. They also continue through Sardinia and near the rest of the uh, mainland of Italy. We also see Libya makes a small landing in the purple team right down here. But we now see another event that once again did not happen in the actual series. We see Greece siding not entirely with the square team, but kind of with the square team. They're not fighting with purple team, but they're fighting against the fascists here. We don't see any action quite yet from this, but we will later. Then see the Dark Sign team making a small landing in Corsica, and eventually we see Brown team being able to liberate a large portion of their forces or a large portion of their land, as we see Norwegian troops being back north, and as they have something going on internally. We see Poland being able to hold some, but with this pushback and Brown team morale boosted, they are able to push it further. But now we see purple team troops arriving south, and to push through Dark Side team's forces. They are able to kick Libya out of their country and liberate Sicily and some of the parts of Sardinia from West Africa's hold. The Dark Side team is eventually kicked out of Corsica, and we move on from Western Europe over into Eastern Europe. This country here barely still exists, but soon they start getting invaded by these Dark Side team, and this doesn't take long after this happens before the entire country just surrenders over. With this all cleared out now, we now see Gold Team troops from this country here, and troops from these three Scandinavian socialist countries all moving out to fight against the pink team. When these troops arrive, see, it does not take long for them to take action. Eventually, most of the northeastern areas of this country are liberated, and we still see pink team troops flooding back into their country. The same thing can be said for the yellow team. And eventually the pink team is kicked entirely out of the pink team, or out of the yellow team. Eventually, pushes are made from both countries. Actually, right now, I believe the Dark Side team is the country with most pushes into any other country. Actually, no, that goes to the Empire. So the Old Empire then once the Old Empire starts pushing into this country, and eventually they quickly are able to overtake it as many people welcome them with open arms. Eventually, we see a very major event taking place. The Old Empire steps foot into Libyan soil, Libyan sand, this area. Not long after that happens, the Old Empire is able to enter to the Gold Team's puppet state. As of right now, the Old Empire only gains these lands out of here. But as most Libyan forces are helping West Africans or far down into the Gold Team, it does not take much longer for the Old Empire to have almost all the lands they had back over in here. At least from Libya. Eventually, the Old Empire will start their invasion into this country down here. And this is the weakest of what I like to call fascist four. These four northernmost countries in Africa. But you see the Old Empire pretty much having a field day down here. These guys are still relatively strong, only because they have supplies from the entire Parallelogram Alliance. But now we move down to South America. You see the democratic and one singular communist nation are able to push out Brazil from Central America. And you see, firstly, Central America starts making more, once again, makes pushes into Brazil, moving south along the coast. but eventually moving inwards as well. We then see the Americans are able to make a great push into Brazil. And come back to this. Down in the gold team, it's not going as well, as we see South Africa's forces are now pushing up, and they are almost able to reach into the gold team. However, gold team also has some luck, as another major logistics failure occurs, and the gold team is able to greatly push and slightly circle some Tanzanian forces right in here. But not so good for Tanzania, or for the gold team, is the old empire makes a landing in the gold team's core territory. This is huge. So, just ish like the real series, gold team use their biochemical weapons on these troops, which will force them to move out of this territory. They eventually just completely desert all operations in the gold team. And we see gold team having this liberation are able to push far into Tanzania. Eventually, at even just like randomly dropping these new weapons they have, gold team or Tanzania will evacuate all of its citizens out of the entire, pretty much anywhere above this line. Any citizens above this line must move down here. And gold team eventually is able to entirely encircle this other lake here. And now they start their invasions into other countries. Starting off with this red team here. And eventually, as they move down along the giant line of troops they have here, they'll eventually then start an invasion into next target being this yellow country. Next, we move up to here. We see the old empire is able to liberate all of their land from Lime Team, and they soon push in to Lime Team or Lime Team games. From here, they'll then eventually make contact with some of the breakaway Lime Team states, and they'll begin to invade this territory, these areas. We then see India is able to push further into Lime Team controlled areas. They then get to the main portion of the Lime Team. It's also results in some more of the Lime team's core areas falling over to control. Mm-hmm. We see another thing that definitely did not happen in the actual series. We see we see this light blue country invades into India. This Bangladesh country here. These guys are fascist. India is very against fascism, and pretty much right after this happens, both India and China will send troops into this country. Very soon after, Tibet will follow, but Vietnam will stay quiet for now. Tibet is actually the first, despite being the last to announce that they're to make a move. They're the first ones to have troops into the country, as they might have been already prepared to attack. China, next country to invade, but India sent some troops over, but focus most on this rebellion here. Eventually, we see one, something that happened once before, ended badly, and is going to happen again. Some, or it almost happened, but we see Afghanistan making an invasion into the Lime team. Hmm.
So live in your Easter basket still. I totally should.
I'm recording right now. Can you go?
Let me know when you watch it.
Oh, sorry. No. We see Afghanistan continuing to invade into the Lime team. Next, we go down into Australia, where we see Red Australia once again being able to invade far into the Blue Australians. It's just due to more power. Just overall, the Red Australians are better. We'll see one last major event happening up in Europe. We see a one a once here country that is now gone returns. It's Sweden rebels the from Norway. From the right color for Sweden, believe, but this rebellion will grow pretty big throughout some old Swedish territories. Eventually, it'll look like this. And this is where today's episode stops. If you enjoyed today's episode of Alternate Future of What If Civilization Started Over, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you